All right. So drive for show, putt for dough, meaning that, we want to make sure, even though we do a great presentation, if we don't end well, then it's going to be a disaster. It doesn't matter how big of a drive, how good of a middle shot we have. If our putting's off, our whole game is screwed up, right? Because we could obviously 3-4 putt, jack up our whole score. So at the end of it, we have to make sure we're presenting investment that we're going to basically not put our own foot in our mouth or talk ourselves out or not help the customer buy in the right way. Last night I was looking at some statistics that I'm going to share on Monday, and it was pretty startling, actually. When you look at it, when I first came to the San Diego office, one of the biggest problems that I saw that we've kind of linked back into is we weren't doing a good job selling payments. We were selling same as cash. We were selling basically a lot of cash jobs, and same as cash for a majority of what we're putting. Now, fortunately for our market, we have a lot of customers that can stroke a check and that can actually pay cash for projects like this, even though they should or should not. Before we get rolling into, I don't want, if somebody can actually afford to do a 12 months no interest, which is a majority of what we're using this month, 24 months, which is what tied over from last month, we have 7. And when you look at like a 60-month, 84-month, or 12-month plan, those are significantly low. I'm talking where we might have almost 25 to 30 12 months no interest programs. We have basically 7 27 or 24 months no interest program. Then we have literally like, I can't remember, it's like 7 or 8, basically 6.99 for 120. Then there's like maybe 1 or 2 basically 60-month programs. What that means to me is not that, oh my God, our interest rate's too high. What it means is we're not offering it. If we are offering it, we're not doing a good enough job explaining it correctly to the homeowner, or we're making it easier for them to buy. And when I looked at a majority of our business is all done with cash right now. We're financing right now, month to date, about 58% of what we sell. And that's what we've kept net. So 58% is, you guys know from the last year, if you were here, to me is a ridiculously low number. That number should be sticking around 65 to 70%. And I'm sure what some of you guys are saying in your head, yeah, sure, Dustin, but we used to have 2.99, we used to have 4.99, 6.99 is just a lot tougher to sell. And in some instances, I'll give that to you. But in other instances, it's not your job to depend on whether or not the customer will or will not take advantage of that. That's called the never rule. And that's not your responsibility to take on their pocketbook. Neither do they want you taking on their pocketbook. So today we're going to give you hopefully some ideas on best practices to make sure that we're doing and able to take and put as much money in your pocket as possible, right? And if we handcuff ourselves and limit our ability to offer all the programs that we offer, I think you're going to find, and as you see right now, closing percentages will drop, revenue per lead will drop, the average sale will drop, and I know exactly where it's all coming from, and I can dictate it out per rep. So if you're interested in seeing your own numbers, I can definitely share those with you too, which I'll give you a printout on Monday. So when we get into there, first, let's talk about, I'm just going to put this up on the screen because I just want to show, and maybe that's not the best way to do it. We'll kind of come right through here, and I'll make sure that you can hopefully see it correctly. So we look at a investment package, right? We look at this. Everybody's familiar with this page, right? There's a couple different things. There's actually 10 steps to giving an investment that I wanted to go over real quick because I think it's ultimately important. 10 steps to success for writing a project or doing a project down, which I have printed and handed this exact list out multiple times. So I'm just going to go down the list and explain the list one more time for you before we get into the selling payment side of it, just to make sure we're not missing anything or beating ourselves when it comes time to do this, when it comes time to start selling the payment, because again, how you start is how you finish. So with that said, I know it's a little bit of a glare here. Here we go. Romance the project. Recap details before delivery, right? So again, our job here is making sure we're taking them back to the pain process, right? So we're tying them back to their house and the heat coming through the bedrooms or the living rooms, the basic cracks in the stucco, the water damage, the energy efficiency, the design dissatisfaction or the disgust of what their current windows look like, the operational unreliability, the door sticking, whatever it might be. We need to basically identify that problem, right? And then we need to tie it back to our solution. And we need to do that in the romancing side of it, because after we've gone through all that information and we've gotten our commitment to need, our commitment to trust, our commitment to resolution, all our minor commitments, we've taken them through the light presentation and we got them all hot and ready. And then literally we take a few minutes to go through the pricing. What's happened is their temperature's basically lowered, right? So before we get that price going, we need to raise their temperature back up. We need to get that temperature as high as possible. So that way when we show that investment, it seems lower. Rather than me just turn around and saying, John and Mary, total investment, take care of your total project is only, $65,404. They're going to fall over dead in their freaking chair, right? So again, then there's no reason not to, because they forgot all those things. Because remember, if you did an inspection at the first of the appointment, they're not remembering all those things and all that pain and all that damage at the end. They forgot about it because you've already sold the solution and made them feel really good. Now they're thinking in their head, is the solution worth the money they're asking for? Because I already feel good because they showed me how they're going to fix it. Not relating it back to the pain and making it hurt again and reminding them of the solution, everything that's included to fix that problem, right? That's why we have to romance. It's so freaking important, right? I learned that back in the patio room days, because trying to sell a patio room, we go through this design process and building a deck and tying in, cutting back the roof. And you were dropping $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 deals. And what I found is when I first started trying to do it, my excitement was high. And after a few appointments went by, my excitement got a little low because I had seen it before, right? It wasn't as sexy, wasn't as fun, because I knew what I was dealing with. So my temperature, I forgot to romance. And where I wasn't romancing, man, I got almost laughed out of a couple of houses. I got basically punched in the face with, that's too much money. There's no way I'm putting that much money in my house. I'm not financing anything at that rate. You got to be kidding me. So I ran into a lot of those same problems. That's why I realized back then romancing is such a crucial part of it. At Pacesetter, they used to make us write out, John and Mary to custom build, deliver, and install 10 windows, basically 6 to be double hung, 4 to be 2 light sliders, basically all to be white interior, bronze exterior. And we walked through all that type of thing, and we tied it all back to the pain and wrote like basically a paragraph out for the people. So we had to read that before we were able to show the price. We weren't able to show the price until we read that all out. And that's where I was first taught to romance, right? Way back in the day, in the Tin Men days. And what I'm telling you is in today's day and age, it still works. Because the more I build that project up before I go show that investment, the better off it's going to be. So again, romancing is crucial, not minor. It is crucial to the success of you getting full investment or getting them bought into what the investment's going to be. Okay, so with that, moving on to the next thing. As I recap a romance. So John and Mary, sounds like to me, basically there's nothing besides price or payment that's going to keep us from moving forward today, right? Yes. Cool. Well, just to remember, we looked outside today. We walked around the house. We saw the cracks in the stucco, right? We're really worried about what was going down into there. I asked you what you felt like was going on down there. You said you had no clue. We talked about Owens Corning says if it gets much worse, that insulation in there only takes 3% moisture to allow that to collapse by a third. We said we wanted to get ahead of it before it got anywhere close to that, right? Not to mention we got to protect the papers. So basically the water management system we have to rebuild on the outside of the house, as we told you, isn't going to be cheap. It's going to be pretty expensive, right? So obviously we know it's more expensive than just basically putting something over that existing frame, which we know isn't doing what it needs to be doing, right? And if I'm doing that and it's jammed up, I don't want water to be running over the inside of the track, as you saw in the picture I showed you earlier on the keynote, right? We want to make sure that we're getting ahead of this and doing it right the first time and not touching it all. Not to mention we're talking about the living room and how the sun had already faded a little bit of the flooring inside of there. We wanted to make sure that we stopped that, which is why we needed to put the sun defense glass that knocks out 95% of all the UV rays coming in through there. not to mention the heat that was coming in and making that room unusable. You were talking about, it sucks to have an $800,000 house and have one of the major rooms we use on a day-to-day basis unusable for several hours a day, because you shared that with me that was important to you and you were sick and tired of dealing with that. Not to mention, I was joking around with you and told you, what's the utility bill in here? Run about $1,000 to $1,200 a month. You said it's about $400, but you really thought it should be about $150. So again, I'm not telling you we can get there, but hopefully we can reduce that bill quite a bit for you, knowing SDG&E has their hands in your pocket too, right? Not to mention, we went into your bedroom, your kid's bedroom, the window was stuck and not able to move, meaning that we had to basically fix the operational liability if there were happened to be, I hope to God never, a basic fire and somebody needed to get out of that house or get out of that window, that they actually had the ability to do it. And you said right now as a grown man or a grown woman, you couldn't make that happen. So how would we expect our children to, right? So again, we need to make sure that we've got everything included in the project. Does that sound like everything we talked about? Great. Now the colors, choices, details, as far as, the white in, dark bronze out, basically the Southern California reflash, all the things that we accrued here. Does that sound like everything that we've included? Yes. Because we hold the value to the entire project, what you called me out today to take a look at, not to mention we found the inspection. We hold the value to the entire project, only $65,404. Can you see with everything we have to do to correct the issues and challenges on the house, how we find $65,404 as a good investment to take care of the project on your home? Yes, yes. So again, we want to make sure we're getting that, we're building that up again before we give the investment, right? Rather than just, all right, John and Mary, I think you're going to love what I got to show you, right? All right, well, that investment's going to be only $65,404. So again, we want to make sure $65,404 if you're really doing things wrong. So it's $65,404, we say the numbers. You use the word only before delivering the investment. Again, use the word only before delivering investment. We always want to use, even if it's 65 grand, 65,404, we always want to use the word only before showing that investment, because again, it just psychologically does something to take it down. Only does. Okay. Next, confirm list price is a good value. I don't need to move on to here. I'm not telling them that it's the greatest deal on the face of the earth, that they should be excited to pay it. But I do need to get, and look at me here, I do need to make sure that they agree that the project we built and the design and dissatisfaction and what they called me out here today, that we agree that it's worth the price we're asking. Because if it's not worth the price, then when we go down, we're not going to get it anyways. We pretty much have put our foot in our mouth because we didn't build enough value to get that project going. So again, we have to make sure that list price is a good value. If list price is not there, again, we are screwing ourselves, and we are screwing ourselves on that whole aspect, right? I don't want to sit here and belabor the point or make it stupid uncomfortable. But I do need to get them to say, even they said, well, I'm not paying that, but I can see how it's worth it. Okay? That's fine. That's a commitment. You're okay with that, right? Or, yeah, I guess. Well, I mean, I understand you're not crazy about paying it, but can you see with everything we have to do, mini construction project in every single window through here, how basically, number one, it needs to be done, and number two, it is a lot of work, more work than you're expecting to see today? Yes, so it just happened to be it's more money than you're expecting to see, but you can see how it's worth every penny we're asking? Yes, thank you. So again, we got to get that commitment. Don't pretend to close at list price. So don't be sitting there and acting like you're going to sell it to them at $65,404 when they damn well handed you a discount or talked about a coupon, because what you're going to do is you're going to lose credibility. Okay? You're going to lose credibility. You can get them to commit, but don't pretend to sell at list price. That's the quickest way to get and lose your deal. Secondly, never use the word thousand, or number 5, excuse me. Never use the word thousand unless speaking about the discount. Again, never use the word thousand unless speaking about discount, okay? When you're doing the price presentation. Thousand is a scary word. It's a bad word. It's the same thing as an F-bomb if you're around your kids. You do not say it, it's bad, okay? So never use the word thousand. So we talk about that. So 65,404, but you didn't call me out to pay that. Thanks so much for sharing. That's a good value. Will you call us out to pay our promotional discount, which is probably the best I've ever seen? That's going to save you a total of, basically on this one, Well, our 25% savings from DreamStyle is $16,351 off the project. I personally have never seen a discount that good. It's the best one I've ever seen. So that's, again, $16,351 discount, taking your total project down to only $49,053. Okay? Now, you need to validate the discount. Make them produce a coupon or have one. If you don't have one or you don't have something to validate it, they're not going to believe your discount, right? Even if it's a 25% off here, I might not have a discount coupon that shows that, but I do have a copy and have been given a copy of the one that they gave us that we give you at the meetings or that set around in the showroom that you can grab a hold of that discount and make sure that we're validating that. Mike, hand me one of those things real quick. So again, if I'm not making them validate that discount, then I'm pulling discounts out of my rear end and I haven't validated anything. You have to make them feel like the discount they're getting is phenomenal. So if I get buy one, get one, 40% off, I know in my mind that's 20% off, right? And I think in here I have the ability to do the buy one, get one, 40% off. But if I'm able to offer them the 25% or whatever because of the anniversary sale, if you want to go there, if you want to leave overage in your job, do what you feel like doing where you're comfortable. But again, make sure you validate it. If not, and you have this one, and you're going to show the 25% because you feel like you need it because it's a bigger project, just make sure you explain how in the hell you got there. Don't just throw it up and not make a big deal about it. You need to sell the shit out of this thing right here. Look, 4-letter word. Remember, that's the same as me saying 1,000. So again, I want to make sure we're doing the right things down here. So validate that discount. So it sounds like to me, John and Mary, basically that 49,053, right? So when you look at that, you can see with everything we've done in that discount, how that's a phenomenal discount. And I can't believe we saved you that much money, right? So at 49,053, again, we want to make sure that we're not just sitting here mustering. If I sit here and I'm trying to sell 49,053, I'm leading them towards cash or I'm leading you towards a no. Again, I'm leading them towards cash or I'm leading you towards a no. I need to get off that as fast as I can, right? I need to almost brush over it, okay? What we have to do is we have to get, at this point, we got to get down and we got to roll it, right? It says, get all objections out of promotional discount. Not today unless in unique situation, okay? So we don't want to give that consultation discount, initial consultation discount or cost savings program, whatever you want to call it. We don't want to give that already. That needs to be a big fat zero sitting there. And we want to make sure that, again, we're validating that discount and we're selling here. This is where we're getting all of our objections out, okay? So it says number 8. So number 8, again, get all objections out of promotional discount, not today price unless unique situation. There's very limited unique situations that you should go directly to the today discount, okay? Very small, because again, when you do that, you're going to basically take all the negotiating power out of your hands. You have nothing left, right? Even if you got some old fart that tells you, give me your best price up front or I don't want to hear it. Well, that still leaves you room for negotiation. So we want to make sure that we're doing those small things that add to big. Number 7, I see a question on there. It says, get all objections out at promotional discount, not today price unless unique situation. Number 8, which I'm getting ready to get to, is 100% of the time, always offer easy budget programs, at least 2. If they tell you they are cash buyers, still offer. Don't push, same as cash. Cancellations are larger on this option. I guarantee you 24 months, 12 months, 18 months has the largest cancellation percentages out of anything. And let me talk about that for a minute. And the reason why I'm taking all this time rather than just going in and giving you the unique little selling advantages on the payments is because you got to understand the wholeality so you know how to change your numbers. If you don't understand the wholeality, you're just stuck on one thing. And you start thinking in small minds and not realize that, again, elephants don't bite, mosquitoes do, right? My favorite saying. So, again, 100% of the time, number 8, 100% of the time, always offer easy budget options, at least 2. If they tell you they are cash buyers, still offer. Don't push. It's even in red. Don't push same as cash option because cancellations are larger on this option. The reason why, you have a lot of wannabe whales out there, right? We have more $20,000 millionaires in the United States than anyone. It means they got $20,000 account. They think they're ballers. They think they're rich. They think they got more money than they need to do it. Yeah, I can go a couple weeks without a paycheck. Who gives a shit? Because if you lose that $20,000, it's gone. You've never got it, right? If I sell you a $49,000 project on a 12 months no interest program, or even 24 months no interest program, let's do the math on that. Because eventually they got to pay for that thing. You tell me, don't worry about it. Just pay it off at the end of 24 months. How many people have $49,000 sitting around in disposable income that they're going to whop off to pay something, right? Especially windows or anything. If they take $49,000 out of an investment account or out of a savings account, then basically that money is gone. If they have a rainy day or their car breaks down or they have something catastrophic where their roof falls in, somebody medically gets sick, something happens beyond their control, within that 24 months, have you put them in a position to succeed or a position to fail? Now, same thing as 12 months, right? So if I'm going to take a project like that, and you got to think about it from common sense terms, right? Sometimes we as salespeople want to do our job to sell the project. We're not thinking wholeheartedly, or maybe sometimes what's best for the customer too, right? Because again, if I'm not trying to put them on a payment, I'm trying to go 12 months no interest. It means over basically 49,053 divided by 12. That's $4,000. That's $4,087 a month, right? That's like a lease payment or a mortgage payment in some instances, right? So I got $4,087 I need to save up every single month in Southern California on top of my mortgage payment, on top of my fancy car, on top of my insurances, on top of my daily living expenses, on top of my $3.50 a gallon of gas. I have all those things that are coming into play, and I still got to put that much money aside every single month to make sure I'm paying that thing off in the amount of time, right? So first off, right, if they can do it, 100% God bless them, right? 100% God bless them. But I think what happens sometimes, why cancellations get very high on the 12 months, 18 months, 24 months no interest, is they get home after you leave, and after the newness wore off or the reason they walked out the door, they start crunching this and seeing what it's actually going to take to pay for it. They're like, holy crap, I don't have an extra $4,087 a month in disposable income running around there. Or if I do, I'm dependent on a bonus. And what if I don't get that bonus? What if something happens where a year from now I stop getting those bonuses, right? So all this stuff starts running in their head because remember, fear of loss is bigger than fear of gain. 811 receptors in the brain are setting right through there. So again, you got to put yourself in the whole alley of the situation. I'm not telling you not to use a program if that's what they want to use it. But again, be prepared that you might be putting them in a position where they can't succeed, okay? I'm not talking you out of selling stuff. I'm just trying to tell you, open your eyes to bigger opportunities and try to put them into something that might be a little more affordable in case there were an emergency, right? Because we're not discussing the fact there might be an emergency in 12 months, 6 months, a year. And I like to ask people straight up, hey, let me ask you a question, right? I know that you definitely want to look at the 12 months no interest, and that's awesome you're in a position to do that. But just for my clarity of thinking, because my job is to put you in a position to succeed, not a position to fail, in 12 months from now, if something were to happen next month or in the month after where your car were to break down or something like that, would it still put you in a position where you could take care of that in 12 months? Yes. Great. I'm not talking to tell it out. I'm just trying to prevent the cancel from happening if it's going to be there. Because what a lot of customers do is they instead of taking that take advantage of that 12 months no interest no payment, unless you know you can take care of it, no problem at all, right? Because really, time out. A 12-month, a 18-month, a 24-month no interest are people that can already afford to pay cash for it, right? They're already designed to pay a check, not living paycheck to paycheck, right? They can already even afford to write a check for it, not living paycheck to paycheck. That's not what that's designed to do. That's designed to help the people who already need help, but it's about a trust issue, right? Or it's they're refinancing, they're in the middle of basically paying off another loan, or basically something to that nature where they can afford to pay cash after their circumstances have done. That's really what those programs are designed for, not to basically shove down your throat because there's no interest and you don't want to pay interest, right? So we're going to talk about that piece of it in a minute. Number 9, get them to commit to a comfortable payment or price before discounting. we need to pick the slot they're going to do, right? If it's 12 months, no interest, no payment, make sure they can really do that, right? You're not just making them feel good by feeling like a baller when they're not, or basically make them feel good that they can do it when they think they can, but maybe they can't, or they're depending on a bonus that they haven't gotten in their checking account yet. They're for sure they're going to get their bonus and cool, roll with it, but just know what the circumstances might be within 3 days. So you just want to make 100% sure you're doing everything you can to help them be successful, right? Not about you at this point. It's about them and making sure they're comfortable. Because if you have a rescission, that's not helping you. It's not helping them. It's creating a lot of havoc and chaos. So we want to make sure, again, that we're making it clear about what the expectations are, right? Because two, I've had some people call and say, well, what's the payment after 12 months? What's the payment after 18 months? What's the payment after 24 months? Well, you can pay it, but you know what? After 18 months or 12 months or 24 months, if you don't pay it, there's an 18% balloon payment on that, right? So we don't want them to hit a balloon payment or put them in a position that can make them file bankruptcy. You got $49,000 and suddenly 18% interest hits $49,000. You just flipped their world upside down. You didn't help them. You hurt them, right? So again, we want to make sure we're putting them in a position to succeed. Make sense? Cool. All right. 10, give today investment as a tool to help them get order as a gift after earning business. So again, give them investment as a tool to help them get order as a gift after earning business. To help use it as a gift or a tool to get order after earning their business. Means after you commit, is that it? Nothing else? And the only reason you're not moving forward is based on price and nothing else. That's when we want to do it, right? So again, recapping: 1, romance project. 2, use the word only before delivering investment. 3, confirm list price is a good value. 4, don't pretend to close at list price. 5, never use the word thousands unless speaking about discounts. It's like using the F, like a 4-letter word that's not good in front of your kids. 6, validate discount. Make sure they produce a coupon or you have one, basically, so that way they actually believe your discount and they don't basically discredit it. Get all objections out at promotional discount, not today unless unique situation. That's number 7. Number 8, 100% of the time, always offer easy budget programs, at least 2. If they tell you they're a cash buyer, still offer. Don't push same as cash, cancellations are higher. Number 9, get them to commit to a comfortable payment or price before discounting. We want to know how they're paying for it. Are they going to take advantage of a monthly budget program, or are they going to do a 12 months no interest program, or are they in a position where they feel like they can pay cash for the project? Number 10, give today investment as a tool to help get the order as a gift. So give the get, right? After you've already earned the business. So is that it? Nothing else? We can do that for you. Sounds like to me we can get started on the project today. Is that correct? And nothing else? Great. So again, 4, JC, is don't pretend to close at list price. We're getting the commitment to value, but don't pretend to close at list price. So when we look at this, we want to make sure that when we get down to that investment, right, we want to make sure we're putting them in a position to succeed, right? So obviously I'm looking at a $1,045 payment. If I'm looking at that in common sense terms, right? If I know that I'm going to throw a $65,000 project up, I know that I need to basically make sure that I probably have a starter package set together. Repeat, you probably need to have a starter package put together because the likelihood that they're going to afford $65,000 and not have to think about that is pretty damn high. So if you don't put yourself in a position to succeed, at least have a quarter of that project together or half of that project together, or maybe both. So you've got a chance to basically put yourself in a position to succeed, not fail. Again, set yourself for a starter package as you're going around to measure the house so there's no surprises, or you're not sitting right here and right now, well, what ones would you start with? And now you've killed your momentum again. Now you're going back to figure out what ones they would start with. You should already know by this point what the hell is their starter package and what the full package is, so you can set yourself up for success, and it's a quick ... and then return the investment. Because again, we want to make sure we do that. So I see $1,000 a month payment. That might not be affordable to some people. The average person can't take on $1,000 payment a month, right? Even though I want to get them to commit here at the 60 months, because before I go to 84 or I go to 120, I want to make sure that we're committing that they can afford this or they can't afford this, right? So let me ask you guys, John and Mary, it sounds like to me, 65, 404, obviously thank you for committing. That's a good value to take care of the project. I know you said you're not paying that, and I completely understand, but you did call off promotional discount, which is the best one I've ever seen, which is our buy one, get one 40% off, right? So I've actually did this one. Right now, this is phenomenal, but I forgot that we actually had one that was a little bit better. Normally, this is as good as it ever gets. This is way better than most thing. We did have actually our promotional discount, which was from our anniversary sale, which is 25% off. It takes your total savings to $16,351, which normally this probably would be around 12, which is still a phenomenal discount. And you can take care of probably the 12 to the end of the month. I'm not sure how long I'm going to even have this one available. So if you want to take advantage of it, really serious about it, as you said earlier, it's not the last price or payment. That's where this $16,351 discount is going to come in to help you, especially on the overall project, right? That's going to take the total investment down to only $49,503, or what more of our savvy customers do. Open an account at 60 months, at basically $1045 a month, or basically take advantage of 12 months, no interest, no payment program. Now at this, the most common way people take advantage of this is basically the $1045 a month. Let me ask you, when it comes time, how affordable is that payment? Then shut your freaking mouth. Shut your mouth here. It's not about talking or over talking or justifying. Shut your mouth. Don't sit there and pretend that you've got all the answers for them. Don't sit here and start throwing tricky one-liners out, right? Make them tap out that they can't afford the $1045 a month, or let them tell you they can afford it. You don't know. So again, make them tap out and tell you it's not affordable, because you need to start digging down and figuring it out. They say, well, the 1045 is just isn't affordable. Well, let me ask you, when you do a project like this, is it something where you're going to need to open an account and basically pay monthly, or is it something where you're going to try to stroke a check for? Well, we were thinking about stroking a check till we saw the investment. That's probably not an option. Okay, so I completely understand. Now, let's talk about it. Made a couple notes here. Where's the other page? Will you grab the pages off of that for me? So there's a couple thoughts here, right? Number one, rolling in your head. Why in the hell would anyone pay 6.99, right? Why would anyone pay 6.99? Let's put this down for a second, because we need to talk, right? Because obviously here, I already know that if I want to, I can get all the way down to $599 a month, right? Because I can go down to 10 years. But I don't want to go there yet. I need to get them to tell me no before I can get a yes. Again, you have to be comfortable with the no's. I need to get them to tell me no before I can get a yes. You got to be okay with the no's. If you're scared of no's, you got a short career in this business. You got to be okay with a no and embrace it, because your next no might be the section that gets you on the pathway to yes. Well, we got to find a pathway to stop and to start, so we know how to start isolating this thing down to close. Because if we don't get comfortable here, again, we're going to fail. So again, they need to understand that if they tell you, well, that's 6.99, that seems like a lot. John and Mary, I completely understand that. It sounds like to me, basically 6.99 is a challenge for you. Is that correct? Yeah. Well, do you understand the difference between the 6.99 you're looking at here and what a traditional 6.99 is? Well, okay, well, we are what we call an unsecured loan. You know what the difference between a secured and unsecured loan is? Don't take for granted they already freaking know that, people. Never take for granted for that, right? And if you don't know, listen up. I'm about to tell you. So we look at it. An unsecured loan is something where it's a signature loan. It's not tied to the house, not tied to a car. There's no collateral that's involved into that loan, right? At Green Sky, they go all the way up to $65,000 on an unsecured note, depending on credit, right? Just like the 24 months, no interest, depends on credit. So really, it depends on it. If you look at a credit app, first off, if you're doing a credit app for somebody, let me teach you one of the biggest laws of land that will tell you if you're screwing somebody or not, right? If you pick up their credit app and you look there and you're trying to sell them $49,000 worth of project, right? And you look at the credit app, and Mary is a teacher and she's the head on this thing, and this teacher makes 60 grand a year, and John is an engineer, and he makes 80 grand a year, so they make $140,000 together, right? In Southern California, it isn't a whole lot of money. So if I look at that thing and I'm trying to get them to pay an extra $1,045 a month, there's a good chance they might not be able to afford that, right? So if I'm looking at that, that tells me if I got them on a 12 months, no interest, no payment program, and they only make that, first question I'm going to ask is, let me guys ask you, it shows here that you have a mortgage. Is that mortgage paid off? No. Well, let's do the math real quick, right? If I got 100 grand, that's approximately basically about 2 grand, about 4 grand a week, right? Is that about it? 4 grand a week? So if I take 4 grand a week out of 100 grand, right? And I take taxes out of that, so take another 30% out of the 4 grand, that could be basically, that could be like 3 grand. So if I take 6 grand a month or whatever it might be that we're looking at, if I take taxes out of that percentage, what's their disposable income left over, right? If I'm taking that and they've got to pay their mortgage payment, which might be 4 or 5 grand a month, they got to pay their car payment, might be together $1,000 a month. There might be basically utility bills. They told you are $500 a month. There's all these expenses in here. And if I'm trying to put them in a vehicle, like a 12 months, no interest, no payment program, or 24 months, no interest, no payment program, and they can't afford to do it, and I didn't pay attention to the credit app, taking a look at that, I didn't set them up for success. I put them for failure, right? Elephants don't bite, mosquitoes do. We got to pay attention to all the details here because this is gigantic. Because we're setting ourselves up for failure, and we deserve what happens to us in 3 days if we don't pay attention to that. So you got to make sure you're paying attention to everything, right? Their information is setting right there for you to turn in. You can't even apply for financing until you take that back in. So pay attention to that before you agree to leave that house and make sure you got that recipe for success, right? I tell you, don't use other people's pocketbook, but common sense tells me there's something missing here, or there's a trust, or mom and dad are pitching in, or there's something there that's bigger than what we can see. All right. So again, secured and unsecured. If I got 6.99 secured, that's not that good of a rate. That's horrible, right? Because that secured rate basically over 30 years is going to have all that compounding interest. That's crazy. But unsecured, this is a signature loan. The bank is taking a risk because there's no collateral on the house, right? There's no collateral on their cars. There's no personal collateral except for a signature, and taking it based on their credit, that they're credit worthy enough to take it. And at 49 grand, that's a lot of risk, right? To basically just for a signature loan. So what I always share with them is basically that. So again, do you understand the difference between a signature loan and basically that loan? Now, do you guys seem like the type of people that want to pay this off early, or are you going to take it out every month for the entire payment? Well, we like to pay things off early. Well, great. This is a perfect program for you, right? So let me ask you, how affordable is $10.45 a month? Right? So we need to get them committing yes or no. Second thing, because interest rates, they vary, right? You take a 6.99 unsecured rate, that's actually a pretty damn good unsecured rate. Most people, if they go try to get a personal loan from their bank, you can ask them if they think they're ballers, right? Now, secured loans, they might get 3-4%, 2-3% maybe if they're really stellar, but most time 3-4% on like a home equity loan, right? But again, that's tied to the equity of the house. And you know that's going to take anywhere between 30 to 45 days to get that. So think in your own brain real quick, right? You better get your ass well in gear on selling the 6.99, because what happens is 30 to 45 days out, that's a stall. They can use that against you 100% of the time on basically stalling you to move forward, because they're not going to do anything until after they're done the refi, right? But if you catch them before they start their refi, or they're just thinking about refining, take that 6.99% and basically get them going on the project. So again, they can use it as a bridge loan. A bridge loan is where you get them to commit to basically, let's say they can't afford the 1045, they tell you they can afford $5 something a month, right? So if I got $589 a month and I got them on 120 a month, right? No penalty for early payoff, means they only pay as much interest as they paid on the loan. Then I can use that to help me. Because just like this, right? If they go down and buy a car, let's say they get basically 3-4% on their car loan, right? Well, that car loan's 3-4% because it's fixated into the loan because the car is the equity piece, right? If they don't pay, they'll take that car back and they can resell that car for another dollar volume. They'll write off the depreciation expense. The bank has lost nothing. There's no risk, right? When we take an unsecured loan, there's lots of risk here. So again, we got to understand the difference and how to explain it. Next. So when we get into that aspect, and they're going to go on to it, a bridge loan would be, let me ask you a question. If they're 30, 45 days from now, do you think if you went down to your bank, what do you feel like the rate you would expect from your bank would be? And you ask them, well, I think I could get 4% at least. So you'd save yourself about, almost 3%, right? Great. And now let me ask you a question. If you're going to say 3 or 4%, just throwing this out of my mind, when you talk about amortization charges, you talk about all the different fees that are entitled into basically refinancing your house, and you're talking about the interest you're going to pay, just basically your amortization fees and those other hidden fees that happen in the refinancing your house, how much money would you really be saving by reducing your interest rate down to 4%? Plus, then it becomes equity of the house. So now it's a secured loan rather than an unsecured loan that you're paying those amortization and upfront depreciation fees, all those things that are into the loan, your amortization charges, all into the loan to make sure that basically you're saving a little money on the long run, right? Does the 4.99 just make you feel good, or 4% just make you feel good? Or is it something that is actually a truly smart design, right? So if you could take advantage of somebody else's money, especially unsecured for 6.99 for up to 120 months without any penalty for early payoff onto it, wouldn't it at least be worth taking it as a bridge loan until you find something and prove to yourself you can beat that loan? Actually, we challenge you to do it. If we can go ahead and get that at $589 a month for you and get you started right there, I'm sure we can welcome Dream Style Remodeling, right? Again, we have to make it make sense for them, right? Think about a car. If people go out and finance cars, right, say they're going to spend $30,000 or let's say $49,053 on a car, right? Really, you can't buy a Malibu for less than 30 grand nowadays, right? So you go into there, say you buy a mid-range car, say you buy a cheap BMW, right? Or a cheap Mercedes or a cheap Lexus, right? You're going to pay 40, 50 grand for that car all day long, right? All day long, 40, 50 grand. You'd be lucky if you get anything in the 30s. But 40, 50 grand, average people, they want to buy that car and they want to drive it around thinking it's the best thing since sliced bread, right? What you got to think is that 30, 40 grand, if they buy that car, they're not leasing it, they're buying it, right? 10 years from now, after they're done paying a payment like that, or 7 years from now, or basically 5 years from now, if they paid $49,000 for that car, what would be the value of that car anywhere between 5 to 10 years from now? Would it be 50 grand, 60 grand? Or might it be closer to 20 grand, 15 grand, 12 grand, right? Because every mile you put on that car starts depreciating that asset, right? So by the time you're done paying for it, the more miles you put on it, the less value that car has, right? The more wear and tear. The first time basically a soda stain spilt in there. First time you spill basically Jack in the Box in the seat. First time basically your groceries spill out onto it and blueberries get on the carpet in the back seat. Whatever might happen, your kids get sick and throw up on the back. All that stuff depreciates that value, right? You'll never get it back again. Windows, right now with SDG&A telling you a 28% gas hike, right? We're not getting out of that. You told me you're sick and tired of paying your $400 a month. If I take 28% on that, that's $519 a month. Now you're paying a month, right? When you're sick and tired of paying $400, if that gets up to $519 because you're doing nothing at all, think about the interest you're paying on that every year, right? And that's something you're never going to be done paying for. And that's saying there's only 28% over the next 10 years. And we know that's not going to happen. They're going to continue to keep making money. Even if you have solar, they're going to find a way to charge you back for the solar. It's only so long before they're going to figure that out, right? So we got to figure out a way to sell this. So if it's a 6.99%, screw the rate. If I give you a signature loan at $589 a month, basically for up to 120 months, without any penalty to really pay off to, we call it investor's package. 10 years from now, you're still going to have at least 10 years worth of value left in those windows, right? And actually, do you think they've appreciated or depreciated the house? So unlike the car, which is worth basically half, if not a quarter, of what you paid for it, what do you feel like the windows are going to be worth when you turn around and sell them in 10 years? The way we put windows together, the way we manufacture, you said together, it'd be the last time you ever have to touch these windows again, right? Not to mention your utility savings, not to mention all the other aspect onto it. And if you really want to talk about the difference in interest at the end of it, because you know that the windows, they tell you by cost versus value, just the resale value alone is over 80%. Is over 80% just from basic resale value alone, right? So now let's talk about insurance. You don't want to pay interest. Well, you pay interest every day. You pay peace of mind guarantee. The average homeowner for health insurance, dental insurance, auto insurance, basically life insurance, optical insurance, dental insurance, pays $800 to $1,500 a month. $800 to $1,500 a month, right? You take on the bare minimum average, that's $9,000 a year, right? $9,000 a year they're paying just for peace of mind guarantee, right? That's on the low end. That's on the low end, $9,000. If you were to be in perfect health, you ran 2 miles every day, you basically out there, you ate all your veggies, you went and did basically your little maintenance stuff that took good care of you. You really detail this out, right? Because think about it. If you do a great job, and I say I'm paying $900 a month times 12, make sure I got this, $900 a month times 12 months, that's $10,800 a year you're paying for peace of mind guarantee, right? Through your car insurance, your house insurance, your dental insurance, all these things. And why in the hell do we need insurance, right? Can't we take the risk of not having it? Well, if something happened catastrophic or bigger than we could afford to pay, we're talking about bankruptcy. We're talking about basically major medical bills where we could never recover, right? So we look at that aspect. We have it for peace of mind guarantee. But at the end of the year, if I pay $10,000 out and I don't use my insurance once, are they cutting me a check back for that? That's actually worse than interest, right? Because they're not cutting me a check back for anything. They're going to raise my premium again next year just because they can. We're going to talk about something you pay for, you never get back in full return. There's one gigantic thing, right? Think about how crazy that is. So if I take that $10,800 and I divide that by 52 for 52 weeks a year, means every week, no matter what you do, you're paying $207.69 on average on the cheap end. Just for peace of mind guarantee, right? I divide that by 7. That's $29.67 a day you're paying for peace of mind guarantee, whether it's your day off, whether you go to work, whether you sell something, whether you don't. That's what your daily nugget is every single day. So, I mean, if you talk about interest, you're paying $29 interest every single day for peace of mind guarantee, right? So you can't tell me you're not okay with paying interest because we pay it in everything. Not to mention, do you want to pay interest on something that's a depreciating asset that 10 years you'll never get your money back out of? Or take advantage of something that has no hack on the house in case something were to go wrong? We're not going to come foreclose on your house if you can't afford to pay for the windows. So again, we make sure that we're putting yourself in a position to succeed. So if you can beat that rate after your 30, 45 days, we welcome you to do it. But please make sure you've got all your costs calculated inside of it and it is the best deal for you before you cancel out that loan. Think that sells a bridge loan? I think it does. Okay, so when we look at it, you can't be scared of what you can't control. You can only talk about why it's a benefit. Don't be scared of what you can't control. Talk about why it's a benefit, right? And basically, people that tell you they don't want to pay, they don't want to finance their windows, right? Remind them. Same thing as a car, right? I understand you don't want to finance your windows, John and Mary, and you know what? If I'm in a position such as yours, I guess I might not want to finance my windows at all, but at least I would want to be open-minded to something that somebody that deals with this every single day, might want to share with me. Would it be okay if I share something with you? I think I just want to at least throw the idea at you. If you don't like it, you can spit it on back. Not a big deal. We can just call it quits on that. But I at least want to open your mind up to a different option, right? Let's say you can afford to pay cash for this. Let's say it's 20 grand. Let's not even say 40 grand. Let's just say 20 grand, right? Let's say you can afford to pay cash for 20 grand. Now, at $20,000, I can afford to pay cash for it. Now, John and Mary, obviously, that's not a big deal. So what I always share with people, people go out and they buy a car, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, and they expect to finance it because you can get a low rate because people know that cars aren't a good investment. They're they're a depreciation expense, not an asset, right? That's why most people now lease their cars because they know that at the end of the lease, the company will literally buy back any of the damages or any of those things that happen into it rather than pay cash. But a lot of people still buy their car straight out because they want that ownership side of it. But the ownership gets expensive, right? You're never done paying for your car. You pay gas every day. You pay maintenance, the utility, or basically oil changes don't change themselves. There's all kinds of money. You're never done paying for that, right? So a $30,000 car, $40,000 car might cost you $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 by the time you're done with it, right? So the next piece of it, if people go out and they finance cars all day long, you got to make sure that basically when you're financing that car and you feel like it's a good deal with the interest rate you're getting, 3-4%, you're still financing something you're losing money on, right? In 10 years from now, again, we talked about that's half, if not a quarter of what you spent. So you got to make sure you know all that stuff and you're putting that in your mind, right? So for instance, if something were to happen tomorrow where you needed to fall back and you needed that 20 grand for an expense or basically an emergency fund, or basically, again, if something catastrophic happened, your kid at college basically hurt or they lost their scholarship or something might happen where you needed that $20,000 and it wasn't there anymore to hold back onto, that wouldn't be a good feeling, would it? So, when nice people like yourself tell me they can afford to pay cash for it, I absolutely get it. And if I'm in your position, I'd probably think that too. But if there was a way where we could help you by opening an account, only $589 a month, and you can keep a hold of that 20 grand, especially knowing we haven't done any work on your house yet, and you can make sure that you're 100% satisfied with everything we've done on the home, and we can go ahead and let that basically $589 a month take care of you for that amount of time, knowing there's no penalty for early payoff onto it, and you can pay it off at any time. Wouldn't it make a lot more sense to take advantage of that $589 a month than it would to be outload that basic cash? Especially knowing basically this is something that has no penalty for early payoff and you only pay as much interest as you pay on a loan, right? But again, we want to try to get people wrapped around to it. And again, before I ever give a longer term, listen here. I just want to make sure you listen, so I'm going to pause for a second, right? So listen, if I'm at 5 years, before I go give my 7 years and I give my 10 years, I want to make sure this happens. John and Mary, I understand that basically the 1045 is not affordable a month, right? In most places, when you extend your term, it makes your rate go up, right? In some cases, it might go lower. In most cases, that rate's going to go up as you exchange your term because it's a bigger risk for the bank to take out that loan longer, right? Why do you think they do car loans at 60 months and then every now and then they do 74 months, right? Or 72 months. So when you look at that aspect, there's a lot of risk involved when you're loaning that money for longer periods of time. Bigger things can happen, right? So again, what happens is we actually work with big banks, right? We're a big lender into. We did $125 million just last year alone, and basically over 65% of that business was financed. So we give our banks a ton of money every single year. So therefore we come and get some basic privileges from the banks that normally single persons like yourself couldn't go in there and get those same type of things, or small companies couldn't give you that same type of privilege. So what we have the ability to do is, and if you're interested, we can go ahead and take that out to 84 months. We can take it all the way up to 120 months. And the beautiful thing for you is, again, that's taking that monthly investment, keeping the basically fixed interest rate the same, but we can take it out to 120 months without changing your interest rate onto it. Now, if we can do the same thing for you and locking that interest rate that we had at 1045, you told me if we're around basically $600 a month, we could go ahead and earn your business today. Is that it? Nothing else. So again, we need to get that isolation piece. And we need to get them, and we need to explain on why we can keep our interest rate at basically the 7-year or 84 months, or at the 10-year and 120 months. So it makes it sound like an extra benefit to them before we move on, right? Before we move on, we need to make sure we're selling the benefit, right? Why is it a big deal? So with that standpoint, we have to do a better job fighting for that investment. So it comes down, is that 1045 a month, or do you think you'd take advantage of 12 months no interest, no payment program? Which one of these two do you feel like you'd start with? Again, don't sell it that 49 grand. Start here. So so that takes it all the way down from 16. That saves you $16,351 all the way down to 49,053. Or what our savvy customers do, take advantage, open an account at 60 months at 1045. Or there is an option, 12 months no interest, no payment program. Let me ask you, when it comes time, how does that 1045 fit in the budget? It doesn't. Silence is your friend. Silence is your friend. Don't start talking here because you're uncomfortable. Don't stop talking. Remember, so sounds like to me basically, well, if you did, is it something you'd pay monthly on or something that you basically try to charge a check for? Well, 1045 is not affordable. Thank you for sharing that, Mike. Sounds like to me, when you went ahead and did a project like this, something you would have to open an account and pay monthly on?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, if 1045 isn't affordable for you, what were you thinking? More like 850, 900? What were you thinking?
I was thinking like $500.
Like $500? Okay. Woo. You want that installed, don't you? So again, if we were able to get close to that $500, is that what it would take? Saying you said there was nothing besides price or payments going to keep us moving forward. Is that what it takes for us to get started on your order today?
Yeah.
Is that it? Nothing else?
No.
Okay. Let me ask you, Mike, when it comes down to a project like this, how much money did you set aside to put down? Most of our company customers will put $1,000 down today, and then basically throw a little money at the at our basically site inspection. Which how much would you feel comfortable putting down on a project like this?
As least as possible.
You know what that tells me? Least as possible. You probably can't afford to do it. So I need to be looking at a starter package. You tell me you can't put any money down on a $65,000 or a $49,000 project, you probably can't afford to do it. So I need to know that. I need to be thinking starter package at this point, right? Least amount of possible. Woo! That's crazy. That means either they're going to be an FTD, yeah, it's going to come in lower, or maybe I just caught them in a tough part of the month, right? So be careful with that. Don't just do it because you can. Do it because you should. I'd rather get 20 grand out of this and know I've got something than shoot for 40 grand and basically have an FTD, basically wasted paper, or I'm making a second or third trip back out to the house. Think about that, right? Got to put them in a position to succeed, not to fail. Okay? Think about that shit. It makes all the sense in the world, right? But if we're in the heat of the battle, sometimes we don't pay attention to the credit app. Sometimes we don't pay attention to the language they're saying, right? They're telling me they can't afford to put down. They say they don't want to put any money down. I ask, well, what puts you in a position not to want to put anything down?
I never want to give up money if I don't have to. Keep it in the bank.
So let me ask you, that $500 a month, is that 100% affordable for you?
There's some flexibility in there. Like 550 is where I like to be at.
550 is where you really like to be at. If I could do 550, I mean, I'm not trying to take too much clothing out the back or food off the tables. What could you absolutely afford to do that and nothing else?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I've got an isolation, right? I isolated it. As long as he's telling the truth, that's it. So if I can get down to that $550 a month, that sounds like what it'd take during your business. Now, I'm going to need a little help from you, right? Because that's a lot of money. So I'm looking at basically that if I can get close to the 550, I'm not saying I can do it, but if I can get close to it, could we go ahead and earn your business?
Yeah.
Is that okay? So a couple things here. How much do you feel like you could put down? I know you just said you don't want to put anything down, but at least most people put about 10% down. Could you afford to put 10% down on a project like that? It's about $4,900.
I'd say about half.
About half of that? Would you feel 100% comfortable with that?
Yeah.
Okay, so you could put half. You could put basically about $2,500 down.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay. So if I come back real quick, and I go back, I want to put my deposit in there. I put my $2,500 in my deposit. Before I turn around and roll what the investment is without it, I want to have it in there. So that way I know what to do. Well, congratulations, Mike. Looks like to me, I want to go ahead and welcome you to Dreamstar Remodeling. We're going to get that done for you. It's $559 a month. That you're not going to let $9 come between you and the windows you want and deserve, right?
Yeah, no.
Okay, well, welcome. But anyways, a quick role play at the end.
Wait, we didn't even do the cost savings program.
Oh, you know what? You're right. You didn't ask me for the cost savings program, huh? So if I could do that for you, obviously that's gonna seal the deal even better, huh? That's what I mean. Sell at your coupon price and pretend the other one's not even there. So obviously now I'm gonna look like a hero, right? So Mike, congratulations. $500 a month. But again, as we get into there, we get used to it, and you're used to fighting and negotiating with the payment. If I'm trying to negotiate with the price, it's not going to take me long to get down to where I have to go. I'm going to be there, and I'm going to run out of ammo. So again, make sure, take the 10 things we talked about today. Take some of the objections that we talked about. Talk about, the difference in an investment and basically, a fixed, whatever you call it. I just even forgot my train of thought, right? Basically, a fixed loan and a signature loan, right? Talk about the difference in a car and the other investment. We want to make sure we're doing all those little things that are adding up to the big things, right? So we're trying to really focus in on sell that payment, which I promise you, if you get good and get past your shit on selling that payment, then literally you're going to see your average sale go up. You're going to see your closing percentage go up dramatically. You're going to see your revenue per lead go up. You're going to see your cancellations go down when you sell the payment over the 12 months, no interest, no payment. Right now, we're very heavy in the 12-month no interest, no payment, and I'm seeing warning signs all over that. So I'm telling you right now, don't beat ourselves. Allow yourself to get good at selling the payment. And if you get people that just strictly aren't going to pay the 6.99 no matter what you say or it, hell be it. But you at least need to offer it. If you don't offer it, it's your fault why you walk out of that deal with no order. If you didn't try to make it affordable or help them buy, that's our own problem, right? So with that, in signing off, I think we spent a little bit of good time here. I did record this meeting. So anybody that wants to see this meeting and have it back into play, I have it and I can email it out to you. On that standpoint, I appreciate everything you guys do. And make sure, again, we're out there representing Southern California through Dreamstyle and trying to kick everyone's butt. We are the team to beat. You are the best. Make sure, again, we're practicing till we can't get it wrong. An amateur practice, get it right. A professional practice, they can't get it wrong. Work on that part of it. I promise you, get over it. You know, that Essler group, they sell that 6.99 like it's out of style, and they're in some major markets. So we can do it too. So again, at 6.99%, you've got everything you need to be successful. And as new programs roll out or we get some programs back, that's icing on the cake. But we need to master what we have, not focus on we don't. All right, guys. Have a great day. See you on the board. Good day yesterday, 104,000. Appreciate your hard work and your efforts on that. And we will see you guys on the board. Have a good day, guys.
Thanks, Dustin.
Appreciate you guys.
Hey, okay, real quick.